What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Lakers Outsiders podcast. I am Gary Kester. I am joined today by Hani Amadian and Jacob Rude, which I will not be asking how they are doing because of the hideous clothing that they are wearing. It's, quite frankly, not acceptable. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, just be grateful that you don't have to see what these guys are wearing. So yeah, we're just we're
it's youtube.com/Lakers Outsiders to see.
Yeah, just don't open up a new tab if you're going to do that, and you can just hear us talk. I mean, I'm wearing just normal whatever. These two, might as well be wearing trash bags, I guess, as shirts, but whatever.
I think I look pretty great, honestly.
I'm feeling fly.
Yeah, no, we're not going down that road for either of you.
We're looking fly. Shout out to Matt Mazzi.
Good God. Speaking of Matt Vazine, 2-3 zone is not a real defense. Okay, now we can get started. So the Lakers did not play tonight. Their last game was Wednesday night, and Hani and I broke down that game. So if you want to hear a recap of that game, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, Podbean, or iTunes. The podcast is up on all three of those platforms. And if you subscribe to us on iTunes, please leave us a review. We really, really appreciate those. Appreciate the feedback, and it does a lot for us, for our channel. So really appreciate those iTunes reviews. All right, so we're going to recap a couple different things here, kind of catch up in the news week around the Lakers. This is kind of the NBA, which it kind of indirectly ties in with the Lakers. So we're going to get started with the big news, the big drama in the league, and that was Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors. Apparently
that happened this week. Did I miss something?
I think the honeymoon phase is over, apparently. Kevin Durant and Draymond Green kind of got into it at the end of a game the other night, where Draymond Green got the rebound at a tie game with a few seconds left, and Durant really wanted the basketball, and Draymond just dribbled down the court, turned it over, and then there was a heated argument in the huddle before halftime, and then I guess it got even more heated in the locker room, and it's kind of created some more speculation that Kevin Durant may be on his way out after this season, leaving the Golden State Warriors. Jacob, I'm going to throw it to you first, even though you're wearing that god-awful shirt. I mean, how much of this are you really buying, that Kevin Durant and the Warriors are kind of going through this little phase where they're not really seeing eye to eye, and how worried should they be that he's going to leave next summer as a free agent?
I think first we should point out that of all teams to kill the Golden State dynasty, we all had the Los Angeles Clippers pegged, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you got Boban on your team, you got potential to do great things.
I kind of went both ways on it. I mean, the spotlights in the magnifying glass are really both bigger on the Warriors than probably anyone else. Any small thing just is magnified into something probably bigger than it is. So on one hand, just by nature, this probably isn't as big of a deal as everybody's making it out to be. But players aren't typically suspended by the team just for a argument, and especially the Warriors and especially Draymond Green. Everybody knows this has happened before. So something he said, something he did crossed some kind of line. Either that or they're really just pandering to KD to get him to stay. Either way, I think this is a big deal. That being said, I think that they both want to win bad enough that I don't think it's going to change anything on the court. I think they're just going to slaughter everyone again this year. But I think eventually it'll kind of be lost in the midst of the season. But come June and July, when KD makes his decision, I think we're gonna hear about this again as kind of one of the, maybe the start, maybe the bookmark or something that led KD to leave Golden State, because I do think this is his last year in Golden State.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be. I don't want to make the comparison or anything, but it was like there was with the LeBron, there was kind of what a lot of people thought was the driving force of why he left, and that was Dan Gilbert and the relationship that they had. And I don't know. It just seems like Draymond and Durant really do not see eye to eye right now. And I don't know if this is this is something that has been brewing for a while, or maybe it's just being overblown. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because Draymond kind of comes off as the type to me, and I could be totally wrong on this, and I'm not saying he is this, but it just kind of seems like to me that he's the type of player that has no problem getting in your face and leading. I mean, trying to be a leader that way and being kind of brutally honest and things like that. But it's like when somebody snaps back at him, he doesn't take kindly to that sort of thing. And it was kind of interesting to see DeMarcus Cousins of all people trying to play peacekeeper. I mean, we saw it with the Lakers earlier this season in the fight with the Rockets. Lance Stevenson's in the middle trying to keep everybody from throwing punches at each other. And it's this NBA season's weird, but Hani, I mean, what are your thoughts on really all the drama that's surrounding Golden State right now and Durant and Draymond Green?
I mostly agree with Jacob in that, in the heat of the moment, I didn't think it was a big deal considering, especially with a guy like this sort of stuff happens all the time anyway on NBA teams. Guys just, a bad mistake happens in a close game and you lose a chance to win the game. And the last second, guys argue and fight. And with Draymond especially, he's the guy who doesn't back down at all from anybody and is always in your face, like you said. I thought that was totally normal. But everything that's kind of come out after it, all the reporting that's been done, it just leads me to believe that this is something that it wasn't necessarily that play. It was just that it's been brewing for a long time, and that that play was kind of the catalyst for it boiling over. It just seems like like you said, they don't really see eye to eye. They have very different personalities, and yeah, I agree with Jacob that I don't think it affects them on the court at all. But it just feels like one of those moments where, yeah, we don't have any proof of it happening, but there's a lot of smoke to Kevin Durant not wanting to be there from all this reporting, whether it's, him signing the one-on-one, and it's kind of different in how he did it last year, where he's talking about he was just going to play basketball this year and he'll decide on free agency next year. There's reporting that like his teammates were making jokes about him going to New York when they were playing the Knicks because of the billboard they saw out there, and like they were cracking jokes about that, and Draymond getting in his face about free agency, saying that like he hasn't committed, et cetera, et cetera. Draymond is a guy who gave up money to basically be able to sign Durant there. He gave up money to the Warriors when he could have gotten a max contract. And so I think it rubs him the wrong way that Durant is kind of holding all this power against the Warriors by signing one-on-one deals and kind of forcing their hand, even though he's been giving up money for like luxury tax payments, which I won't get into that. That takes me off. But regardless of that, it just feels like there's a lot of smoke, and you're just kind of waiting to see if there's any fire behind it.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's nothing. As I've seen, some Warrior fans say, it's like, oh, it's heat of the battle. These things happen on the court. Yeah, I do think some of those things happen, but they typically don't spill into the locker room like that and get so widely reported that a lot of their teammates were publicly, well, not publicly. I mean, they were giving out information to the media, anonymously. But
yeah,
for the record, Kevin Durant is right in this situation. In that moment, sorry, Draymond, you're a great player. Get the ball to Kevin Durant, please. Like, if you want to go win a basketball game with the last few seconds, get the ball to Kevin Durant. Steph is out right now. You've got Kevin Durant. Utilize him.
Counterpoint.
Oh, God.
No, just devil's advocate. I mean, I think the minute Durant should have gotten the ball, but I think the minute that Draymond started to push, Durant should have sprinted down court, because I think Draymond is smart enough to kick it out. Like when he got in that situation, Durant should have ended up with the ball, but I think him throwing a little bit of a temper tantrum for not getting it didn't exactly help things either.
Counterpoint to your counterpoint. maybe Durant knew that Draymond was bitter about him leaving in free agency, so he wasn't going to pass him the ball no matter what.
Counterpoint to your counterpoint to his counterpoint. Steve Kerr should have called the time. I'm kidding. I don't think he should have, but I mean, it wouldn't have happened if he had.
That's true. He could have saved the future of the Warriors with one simple timeout.
Kerr is to blame in all this. Yeah,
they should have fired. They should have fired Kerr when they still had Luke Walton. All I'm saying.
Oh, brother. Hey, Steve Kerr openly admitted he was a Laker fan like back in the 80s. So maybe he didn't call that timeout knowing Durant was going to leave his team to go sign with the Lakers. Oh, man. All right. So, I mean, on that note, if Kevin Durant is to leave the Golden State Warriors, which seems to be there's a little smoke there. You know, for me, it's kind of still believe it when I see it kind of thing, just because the Warriors are so freaking good, especially with him, that they'd be contenders for at least, or like the favorites, I guess, for probably another at least 2 to 3 seasons.
Forever, it feels like.
Yeah, assuming everybody's healthy. Jacob, if Durant, gets to the end of this season and he says, hey, I want to move on and do something else, where would you kind of rank the Lakers in terms of like the options that he would have to go in free agency?
It's weird because it feels a lot like kind of the sentiment last season was like, it wasn't really a perfect place for LeBron to go, like a place that was just stuck out, like, oh, this makes perfect sense, which I think is part of the reason that we never really believed he was coming to LA. I feel in a lot of ways the same about Durant. Like, there isn't like this one place that's like, oh, that place is set up perfectly for him. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people say the Knicks. I don't know. I mean, as Lakers fans, we went through this forever, where we had just a bunch of young guys in cap space, and we tried to recruit free agents with that, and it didn't work. And that's what the Knicks are going to be doing, only their best young player probably isn't going to play this year. I have a hard time believing that'll work because, as I said, we've witnessed firsthand that it doesn't. So I find it hard to consider them like a legitimate landing spot, other than him just like wanting to go and be the face of a organization again. But like, he already hates the media, so I don't know why he'd go to New York.
They'd catch on to his burner accounts probably pretty quickly over there.
Yes. But by the same token, I mean, I don't know that LA media isn't that much better. So I don't know if that's really that much of a selling point. I really don't know where. I think this is all going to be done in Golden State after this year. I think he'll move on. I don't know where. New York doesn't make a ton of sense. I mean, I guess if he really wants to go to another contender, it's probably LA, because we're going to be like the only team that has the cap space and talent. But it feels, I have no feel on where Durant, he's such a weird person to get any kind of feel on. Like, I have no idea what he's going to do.
I thought you were just going to call him a weird person. I was going to say, Durant, if you're watching this, don't listen to Jacob. He's not a true fan.
We mean it in a good way. It's a good thing to be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely what I was going for.
Yeah. So, Jacob, if you had to put a percentage on it that he signs with the Lakers next summer, where are you putting it at?
Like 15%. Like, I really don't feel that optimistic about it. But Honey? I don't know who I'd make the favorite either.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation. Honey, how are you feeling about that? Like, if Durant is ready to move on,
yeah,
I'll add my thoughts afterwards. But where do you think the Lakers would stand?
I think they're pretty neck and neck with the Knicks. I think those are the two big destinations where they offer different things, obviously. Lakers offer him a chance to keep playing for a title every single year because he's playing next to LeBron. And then if LeBron retires anytime soon, which after last night I'm not convinced he will, then he can be the face of the franchise alongside, whatever amount of these young guys stay on the team and how they develop and all that. The Knicks, on the other hand, have kind of this – they have this potential to be a huge legacy thing for him, because if you go to the Knicks and you turn them into like a winning franchise. It doesn't even have to be a title winning franchise, honestly. If you turn them into a perennial contender and a playoff team, you're gonna have your legacy elevated, and that's something. I don't know how much it matters to him, but given how public perception of him has changed since he went to Golden State, I could see it being a big deal. And then the only other team that sort of makes sense that I would put at a distant third to those teams would be the Clippers, because they still offer him LA. They offer him a team where he would be the face of the franchise. They're also a young team like the Knicks, but they've played a little bit better. So who knows if they're a little bit more ready to be a contender or whatever. And they also have cap space to add another star if Kawhi or Jimmy Butler or whoever wants to go there with them.
Yeah. So what percentage would you put on it?
All right. If this is kind of a cheap way out, but I would say like 49 Knicks, 49 Lakers, and then 2% Clippers.
Interesting. Clippers coming up dead last. I am starting to get, and I said this, Hani, too, I think before we went on yesterday. Yeah. I'm starting to get those LeBron vibes that we got last year, that it started to feel a little more and more real as time went on. Now, it's a little different, I guess, because Durant has such an awesome team around him. And whereas LeBron last year was just dragging that Cavs team through through the Eastern Conference and played a Celtics team that didn't have Kyrie or Gordon Hayward in the Eastern Conference Finals. But yeah, I get a similar kind of vibe where it just seems to be there's more and more smoke. There's more talk about it. You see all these, I don't really buy like into rumors, but it seems to be a lot of correlation between kind of what you're hearing. And it just kind of feels like the vibe I get, I guess, just from kind of monitoring that situation is that he just doesn't seem overly happy there. Like he went there to get his titles, get that kind of monkey off his back because, he always came up short in Oklahoma City. And now it's like he can really make this decision, about whatever he wants it to be, and seeing, I guess, the way him and LeBron really kind of embraced each other and just before that first preseason game that they played against one another. That was just really interesting to me because they seem to have like a really genuine, kind of compassion for one another, as friends. And there's been the rumors, and I think, Brian Windhorst kind of confirmed it today that LeBron had reached out to Durant to kind of gauge his feelings on playing for the Lakers. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. And, maybe, the answer was, well, not this summer, but let me put one more year here and then we'll see. And I don't know. I mean, Durant might be looking over at LeBron and seeing how much fun LeBron's having. I know, the struggles of the first 7 games were frustrating, but it seems like LeBron's having more fun now than he's had in a long time playing basketball, probably since Miami, I would say. And, he's playing, it's funny. He's playing the least amount of minutes, I think, of his career so far. And he's averaging 27.9 points, about 28 points a game. And so, yeah, I mean, the Lakers are doing a good job of not putting too much, bearing on him to, really carry this squad. And I don't know, maybe Durant looks over at that and says, hey, I wouldn't have to go over there and be forced to, kind of handle everything because I'd have LeBron and then, you'd have obviously the young guys and so on and so forth. But I guess another pitch that LA could have to him is that if Durant signs there to join LeBron James, they have all these young guys, and there's another superstar that is going to be a free agent fairly soon, not 2019, but 2020. But maybe the Lakers can go get him in a trade, and that's Anthony Davis, because the Lakers have a lot of good young talent that they could offer in a trade package. Hani, we talked about this before we went on. How practical do you think it would be if the Lakers signed Durant to be very aggressive and try and get a trade done for Anthony Davis?
It's definitely possible. If you have the opportunity to do it, you got to do it because those are 3 of the top 5 players in the NBA, and you are basically guaranteed titles if you have those guys on your team.
Could arguably be the greatest trio ever.
Yeah,
in terms of talent.
it'd be insane. But it is difficult to do it though. So we were kind of looking at this. If you want to trade for him like next year, basically, as soon as Durant, hypothetically signs here, Anthony Davis is being paid $27 million. The Lakers' next highest salary that year after LeBron James is Lonzo Ball at $8.7 million. So basically, they would have to package pretty much every player other than LeBron that's signed on the roster. So it'd be like Lonzo, Ingram, and then probably Hart and Kuzma. It's kind of back of the envelope calculations. I don't know exactly, but it would be something crazy like that. Plus, you have to throw in picks because Anthony Davis is that good of a player, and he's still so young. He'd be 26 that year.
God.
It's crazy. Obviously you do it if you have the opportunity. As much as we love Lonzo and Ingram and want to see them develop and be, the next stars for the Lakers, if you have the opportunity to add Anthony Davis to Kevin Durant and LeBron James, you take that chance every single day and twice on Sunday. So it's possible. I don't know if it's practical because of how many moving parts there would have to be, but it's very much doable.
There's one way I could probably guarantee that it would happen in some way is if I go buy the jerseys of the young players, they will all get traded for Anthony Davis, which if I have to pay that much to get Anthony Davis alongside Kevin Durant and LeBron James, I will gladly do it. You can also hit up my Venmo account. No, I'm just kidding. but yeah, I mean, if it's, I guess it doesn't even have to be Anthony Davis, right, Jacob? I think the part of the Lakers pitch is that, hey, you can sign here and you can play with LeBron James, who, is a very unselfish player. I don't think he likes to be kind of, have to be this guy that scores a lot. And I think he would be happy kind of deferring to Durant, especially kind of at this stage of his career.
Did Gary die? Well, I mean, I think the point he was going to make, yeah, I do think that's part of the pitch to coming to LA is that you don't have to carry the load as much. I mean, I guess in some ways that appeals to Durant because that is, I mean, in Golden State, he went and did that, and he knew coming in that he wasn't going to be the guy, and he's played second fiddle at times and even third fiddle to Steph and Clay. So I think that in ways could be something to appeal to him. I do think the fact that LeBron and KD have a friendship plays into it. Right. I was reminded, I don't even remember what reminded me of it, of their flag football game during the lockout, which I had totally forgot about, and the highlights are online. It's bizarre. I don't even know. I don't even think there was like a cause for it. I think they just got some friends together and played flag football in like this indoor like practice facility. It was weird. But
do you think they did that before or after they recorded the rap?
That was after. But yeah, I mean, I do think that that probably appeals in some ways to Ingram, to Durant, Freudian slip. But yeah, I mean, as we are recording this, Chris Haynes just released a story about the argument that we were talking about with Draymond and the explicit quote that he has in here. Draymond blurted to Durant something along the lines of, "We don't need you. We won without you. Leave."
I mean, he's not wrong.
Well, also be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I think that Golden State is out of the picture at this point. I really hope LeBron and KD take some more Uber rides or Lyft rides together, whatever it was, and record a couple more commercials together between now and July.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
I don't know what happened there. My internet apparently could not handle the thought of Anthony Davis joining LeBron and Kevin Durant and decided to give out on me. But don't know how much I missed, but my point that I was making before everything went to hell was just the Lakers having that flexibility of having the young players and having the option to trade for a third piece, even if it's Anthony Davis or it's somebody else, could be appealing to Kevin Durant or Kawhi Leonard or whoever. So, all right. So let's dive into another player that the Lakers are reportedly interested in, not quite on the caliber of Kevin Durant, but Kyle Korver. The latest report today was that the Lakers are one of a few teams that are interested in making a trade for him. Hani, I'll throw it to you first. Korver obviously has history with LeBron James in Cleveland, and could provide some shooting that, the Lakers would definitely probably cherish if he is able to come over. What are your thoughts on the Lakers being interested in Korver, and how do you think he would fit in with this roster?
In terms of fit, I think he'd be a really good fit. Obviously, the Lakers didn't really go out and get shooters in the offseason because they were prioritizing getting ball handlers and passers and playmakers and all that. But part of that is when you have LeBron James on your team, you do want shooters, and Korver is as good as they come. He's super reliable. He's probably the best player maybe ever at running off screens and hitting threes. And that's something that would be super valuable for us. I saw a lot of people, we wrote this story out on our site, LakersOutsiders.com, for those of you who for some reason don't know where our site is but are listening to our podcast anyway. And we had a lot of people talking about how Korver's not a defender and our defense already sucks, et cetera, et cetera. Korver is really underrated as a defender. Like, he's not good by any means. He's not making plays defensively, but he's a really solid team defense guy. I think he got a super bad rep for those pictures of him like flailing as somebody was scoring on him when he was on the Jazz, which are amazing photos, by the way. But he's always been a really solid defender, and like, he's getting a little bit older. The report from today said that the Cavs are looking for a first-round pick for him. They're shopping him around. I don't know if anybody's going to give up that much for him, considering his age and the fact that he's a pretty one-dimensional player, even though he's amazing at that one dimension. So I think I want the Lakers to kind of hold pat right now. I don't think they need to make any major changes, considering how well they're playing, coming off probably their best win of the season last night, et cetera, et cetera. But it's definitely something to keep in mind. And if, shooting becomes an issue, last few games, I felt like it's been pretty fine for them. They hit a ton last night. But if that does become an issue and they think, hey, we need, a guy who's so dynamic and creates offense literally by just running around screens without the ball in his hands, then Korver is the best guy to go after.
There aren't many guys that have gravity just by running around screens.
Yeah.
I think him and probably JJ Redick are the only two that just coming around a screen, defenses are paying attention to him. The one other, I saw a couple people pointed out the one other thing, he is under contract for next year. It's non-guaranteed. I was trying to look while you were talking. I can't find the exact amount it's non-guaranteed for. I want to say it's only like 2.7 million guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Which Hani and I were doing number crunching before we went on, and the Lakers are going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of like $3 to $5 million in extra cap space, like on top of being able to offer a 35% max. So technically they could sign Durant and have $3 to $5 million extra, which theoretically Korver fits right into that, even if you want to waive him.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's 3.4 million guaranteed, and the trigger date for it to become fully guaranteed is July 7th. So if they waive him before that, then they're only on the hook for 3.4 million.
Which that trigger date is especially useful.
Yeah.
Because
it's after the moratorium ends, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And by that point, everybody pretty much knows where everyone's going. I think KD decided on the 4th of July last time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's a possibility, but also the Lakers made it very well known that they weren't going to build a team that was just shooters. So I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily see them going for like a win now move when it's always been like a 2-year plan, basically. But I mean, it mainly just depends on the price and what the Cavs are looking for. If the price is low enough and they think it's worth the risk, like we said, there's probably not a better catch and shoot shooter than Korver, and him and LeBron had some great chemistry together in Cleveland. So it certainly wouldn't be a bad thing to add another shooter like that.
Yeah, for me, it's all about the price. I certainly wouldn't give up a first rounder.
No.
And the Lakers, I don't think would. I think they've been pretty adamant that they're not just going to shop around first round picks, especially because they've utilized those pretty well these past few years, and they've had some really solid drafts. That 2017 draft was just unreal. But yeah, for me, it's all about the price. Obviously, I think adding another shooter would be nice. A guy that when he shoots it, you kind of assume that it's going to go in. I think he's a career 43% 3-point shooter. So last time I checked, that's pretty good.
It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it depends on the price for me. I mean, I wouldn't give up a first rounder for him, but if it's like they want to take like Zubats and some second rounders, sorry, David Chia, but I mean, Zubats is just wasting away on the Lakers bench right now. So I would think about it. And like you said, the chemistry with LeBron, I think, would help and be kind of a welcome thing. And, you know, I could see the Lakers adding another veteran like that is wasting away on a bad team, kind of like Tyson Chandler was. And everybody assumed, oh, Chandler's done. He's old. It's like, no, reality is he was just tired of playing for the Phoenix Suns.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to kind of take a look at. So, but we'll see. I mean, the trade deadline's not until February, so we got a long way to go before that happens. And who knows? Who knows? We'll see if the Lakers work a little magic or whatever. But no pun intended there. All right, so I noted it down that we were going to talk about the Rajon Rondo injury, but for time purposes, like I said, Hani and I did mention that on the previous pod from yesterday with the recap of the win over the Blazers, and we talked about that for a while. So if you want to know basically our thoughts on what the Lakers are going to do without Rondo, be sure to check that out. So we're going to dive into some listener questions before we play some Laker trivia to wrap this thing up. Just a few questions to get to. Speaking of David Chia, he asks, how will LeBron, KD, and AD handle being a tier below Zubats in the pecking order? I'm going to take this one first. You guys can add on after this. David, I know you have love for Zoo, but man, you've got to put down that pipe. Like, it's just getting ridiculous at this point.
Really, we're just looking out for you. We don't want you to be heartbroken when the Lakers trade him for a bag of chips. So, you know, just you gotta ease yourself into that and start preparing yourself.
Even Zubats thinks you're nuts. Even Zubats' parents are like, why does this guy like Zubats so much?
He could be the only G League stan with how poorly Zubats is playing this year. Sorry, bud. I'm not gonna say mean things about Zubats just for you, but if I don't have anything nice to say, I won't say anything at all. So,
well, the next question, I guess that this isn't really a question. If either of you guys want to volunteer here. A request was just whisper sweet nothings in my ear about Isaac Bonga. So if anybody wants to take that, it won't be me.
Well, let me give you some sweet nothings. He is 6 of 11 from 3-point land in the G League.
Can you whisper him, please?
This is not an ASMR video. He is also 8 of 13 in the restricted area, and he was defending Tony Bradley tonight. So there are all of the sweet nothings that I can not whisper to you.
Is that former future Laker Tony Bradley that you're talking about?
That's North Carolina national champion Tony Bradley.
Yeah, scrub.
Boney Tradley.
Thank you.
If I do say so myself.
Utah Jazz ruined him. All right. Well, that was fun. Next question. He's asking, so I don't know if you guys mentioned this while I was trying to figure out my technical difficulties, but Jarrett Jack is basically saying that the Lakers are going to get Durant and Anthony Davis all in about the next, 8 months is what he said. So
8 months. Yeah.
I think he tweeted it out. I don't know if he deleted it or not, but I'm sure you can find it on Twitter pretty easily. He said, how could what Jack is saying actually happen? He said, I don't see how the money is possible. I mean, we talked about this quite a bit.
Yeah.
The Lakers have a lot of cap space this summer, and the trading for Davis thing would be kind of tricky because they wouldn't have a ton of big contracts to send, but they could just, I mean, honestly, kind of pile contracts on top of one another, and there are going to be ways to make it work. I think the Laker front office has also kind of shown that they can get kind of creative. Nobody really saw the way they did the Deng deal, waiving and stretching his contract. They kind of found a different way to do it, which was very creative and helps them down the line. So, Hani, go ahead.
I was going to say one thing is the Clarkson and Nance deal for Isaiah Thomas last year was also another one where they kind of shed salary in a fairly creative way. But I was going to say about Jarrett Jack. Apparently, this is something I found out today. I didn't realize it was a thing, but before Kevin Durant signed with the Warriors, he apparently called up Jarrett Jack to ask about Stephen Curry. So there's that connection if you're trying to put him up on a bulletin board and see if it's legit. And the second thing I want to say is Jarrett Jack, welcome to Lakers Twitter.
He'll join Joe Smith as former NBA player, Lakers Twitter legends.
Good God. Oh, yeah. Welcome to Lakers Twitter. All right. Last question that we got. How much longer do the Lakers use this starting lineup? He said, it seems obvious Hart instead of Kuzma would be a lot better for the starters and the bench unit. Jacob, what are your thoughts on that? How long do you think the Lakers will ride the starting lineup?
Well, the page just refreshed on me, but I had the stats pulled up. In the last – so the Lakers have won 6 of their last 7. In that span, this starting lineup has just a negative 1.6 net rating. And in the last 4 games, obviously, which the Lakers have won, they have a plus 2.4 net rating. I'm not really sure. I do think that, or I do like that Walton kind of gave them time to figure it out. It doesn't really do a whole lot of good if you give them 5 games and then pull the plug on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that he's kind of giving them time to figure it out. Man, Josh Hart has been so good recently, though, and he provides some shooting and some defense, particularly the defense that Kuzma doesn't. I mean, they have a really easy stretch coming up, so I don't know if now's the time to try it and see how it works. Because really they should win all 3 of these road games coming up. Or if you just stick with your current lineup, and I think that's probably where I'd stay right now, just stick with the lineup because they're showing some signs of improvement. It'll also be kind of weird because without Rondo in there, the rotations are going to be a little different, probably a little more staggering. Either that or Luke will play Svi more, maybe both. So I say right now, I think I mean, the last handful of games, they look like they're improving. So I say stick with it for right now until they really give you a reason to change it.
Yeah, I mean, if they keep winning games, I don't really see the need to change it. You know, it
Fix
might.
what ain't broke.
Yeah, I mean, I could see. I mean, I totally understand the argument that I think Hart in place of Kuzma could be better. And I think I think they've had some success with that already. But especially Hart at power forward is like a revelation. It's been kind of amazing to see, and I think the thing with Hart playing that 4 spot, it helps kind of negate the fact that he's not a great perimeter defender right now. He's kind of been getting cooked on, in that respect. And he's just so solid, like in terms of his strength. I mean, he's just hard to move, even though, he's like 6'4", 6'5". He's just so hard to move because he's so strong. And I think that allows him to play kind of multiple positions and really kind of, battle with guys like in the post or whatever. And, but yeah, I wouldn't change the lineup until you start seeing some losses. And Hani, how long do you think the Lakers? I mean, should Luke give this lineup to really before we can like really accurately judge them?
I think you got to give them a pretty decent stretch, just because. And I'm saying this as somebody who was in favor of the starting lineup that whoever sent this question was saying. I wanted that starting lineup when Ingram was coming back from the suspension. So from that respect, I'm like, yeah, sure, do it. But yeah, I think they've gotten off to some slow starts. They definitely, that lineup usually, to me, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I test wise, they seem like they get it a little bit going in the second half. So I'm wondering if there's something to that. That's not necessarily the lineup being an issue, but I don't know what else it could be. But I do think that, like, especially after last night with Ingram kind of playing a little bit better, Lonzo playing a little bit better, I want to see how that lineup plays with those guys kind of at full force, because they have been struggling for the past couple of weeks. And, like the Josh Hart and Kyle Kuzma thing is they are pretty interchangeable, especially if Hart is playing power forward the way he has been recently. Mm-hmm. They basically play the same way. Hart's a better interior defender than Kuzma is. Kuzma's got a little bit more scoring versatility. So, like, each one gives you a different strength and a different weakness. But, like, I can see it go either way. I think Kuzma, if he plays off the bench, he struggled early on when he was playing off the bench, but it's going to be different now that he has an actual center and he's not being overworked defensively. Hart, you could see him, being even more of a fit to play power forward when he has Tyson Chandler behind him. So I think both make sense to me. I don't think there's a wrong answer, but I agree with you guys that I think Luke should just be giving them a little bit longer of a leash to see if this lineup can improve a little bit to start out games.
Yeah, I think you got to give it like a total of like 15 to 20 games or so at least to really get a really accurate judge, which is crazy because, I mean, that's, 20 games, that's a quarter of the season. So it seems like a lot. But, I mean, they're winning games. They're winning games. They're getting the job done. And, I believe in that chemistry that Kuzma has with LeBron. Those two play really, really well together. And if LeBron's happy, the Lakers are probably going to be happy. So if it's working, stick with it. So, all right. That's going to do it for the questions this time. Thank you to those of you that sent in the questions. Now we're going to have a little bit of fun. This might be a little embarrassing for those of us that get these questions wrong, but we're going to play some Laker trivia. We've got a couple of different formats here. Which one of you wants to start asking the questions first?
Have at it, Honey.
All right. Okay. So as you guys know, the Lakers just beat the Blazers for the second time this season. Before that, they hadn't won for 16 straight times. Last time they won was March 3rd, 2014. They won 107-106. So we're going to have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to have you two try and guess the 10 Lakers players that played during that game.
By the way, I wouldn't have known about that streak at all. It's not like I was at Portland for the season opener, and they didn't mention it every 5 seconds.
You know what? We'll have our fun when we win 16 straight.
We're Lakers are on a 2-game win streak against Portland Trailblazers. So, and that streak is going to live on until April, at least.
That's the 17th banner up in the rafters, or 18th after Taylor Swift, I guess.
All right. Which one of it? Who do you want to start?
Honestly, just shout him out. Yeah.
I haven't looked this up at all. I don't know if Jacob has. I feel like Jacob cheated. But
Wow.
Okay. First one I'll start with is Wesley Johnson.
Yeah. Wesley Johnson, the game winner. He was 7 of 11 from the field that game.
Was that Wesley Johnson like 17.0 or whatever?
Yeah, probably something like that.
That was 7 of 11, and all of them were pull-up 2-pointers just inside the 3-point line.
He was 0-1 from 3, yes.
Yeah, see? Well, Wesley Johnson's the only one I knew for sure. I think the guy that threw him the alley-oop was Kent Bazemore.
Kent Bazemore did indeed play and start that game.
Let's
go. Okay, so my turn. Pau Gasol, right?
Pau Gasol did also start that game. 10 of 20 from the field, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks.
Yeah, I knew all that.
Good game.
I mean, I have to guess Jody Meeks because I believe that's right.
Damn it.
Our boy Jody Meeks was the 4th starter.
I don't know if this guy played in that game, but I'm pretty sure he was on the roster. Jordan Hill?
Jordan Hill was on the roster. He did not play in that game.
Ooh, damn let's go. Strike one.
Damn it, D'Antoni. You're killing me, man.
I'm trying to think who the 5th starter would be. Kendall Marshall?
Kendall Marshall was the 5th starter. Attaboy.
That's good. I got a UNC guy. That should be another strike for Gary.
Oh, it just means you're finally seeing the light.
Yeah, let me tell you about the light I'm seeing.
7 points, 11 assists, 3 of 9 from the field.
Very Kendall Marshall stat line.
That's a classic Kendall Marshall stat line. Did Marshawn Brooks play in that game?
Marshawn, next Kobe Brooks, did play in that game. He had 8 points on 1 of 9 shooting.
Let's go. So we have 6 of them. Oh my God, we're getting deep now. What year was this?
This was 2000, March of 2014.
Had we drafted Ryan Kelly?
Ryan Kelly did indeed play in that game. I think that was his rookie year.
Yes, sir. I'm on fire.
This is just a total guess, and maybe because we saw him yesterday. Did Steve Blake play in that game?
No, Steve Blake wasn't on.
He wasn't on the team? That's what I thought.
No, not that year.
I have absolutely no idea who the backup. Jordan Farmar?
Jordan Farmar.
Oh, my God.
Champion. Our boy did play in that game.
Wow. So wait, is there one more player? 2?
2. You got 2 more.
Oh, my God.
I'm like,
one of them is the greatest Laker of all time.
Oh, I know who it is. I think
Isaac Bonga wasn't on the team yet.
Is it Sacre?
It was Sacre. He did play in that game.
And I don't know who it'd probably be like a wing player.
If Sacre played, that means Chris Kaman probably did not play.
No, he was not playing. He was on the roster though. Next one is a wing. He only played 5 minutes. He was 0-2. Didn't register any stats other than the 2 field goal attempts.
Manny Harris.
No, great guy.
Damn.
Oh, that's a hell of a guess. I would have never gotten that one.
Lefty.
Xavier Henry?
Oh, Xavier Henry?
Yeah, it was Xavier Henry. That was the 10th guy.
Let's go.
Those are some dark times, boys.
Jesus, I am happy where we are now. That was a nice reminder of how far we've come.
We have LeBron James on the team now, guys.
We named like 15 big men in that.
I know. I guess all the big guys that D'Antoni hated.
I was looking this up before the podcast just to write everybody's names down so I could check it off. And I saw Marshawn Brooks' game, and I was dying. I forgot that Marshawn Brooks was on the team.
Listen, Marshawn Brooks helped the Lakers to a win over the Celtics in his first game. So
that was a sad year, right? Marshawn and Kent came for Steve Blake.
Yeah. All right, my game's going to be a lot more fun because we get to expose Hani. As many of you who probably watch TNT know, they do who he play for Charles Barkley, for current NBA players. Hani sporting his little starter jacket Nevada coat.
It's Nevada.
Knows nothing about college sports.
I know that we're the number 6 ranked team in the nation.
Okay, so what we're going to do is a game of who he play for. Only it's going to be Lakers players in the college that they went to. And Hani is going to get to go first on every one of these, and I'm going to put money that Gary wins.
All right.
So we're going to start with some current players. Hani, I think this is the easiest one I wrote down.
Oh, boy.
Who did Lance Stevenson play for?
You think that's the easiest one?
I have an idea. I'm not 100% sure, though.
It's Midwest. I'll give you that.
Did he play for Purdue?
Hell no. Gary?
I think I know.
Cincinnati?
Gary has a point.
I like this game.
Speaking of Cincinnati, the current number 6 ranked Nevada Wolfpack beat them in the.
Oh my God! Okay, no, we're not doing this. The second current player, he was a one and done. Michael Beasley.
Oh, I know.
This is hilarious.
I'm pretty sure I know, but I feel like I'm gonna get it wrong. Was this Syracuse?
Yep, you got it wrong, Gary.
Kansas State.
Gary has 2 points.
You're thinking of Carmelo Anthony. That's the one.
Well, see, Michael Beasley is Carmelo Anthony from the left side of the floor only. So
all right, so we're gonna go back a little bit to the darker days, as we mentioned, of the Lakers. Hani, where did Roy Hibbert play?
Texas.
Not even close. Gary.
Georgetown.
Gary has 3 points.
All right. Okay, you guys won't believe me, but I 100% knew Hibbert and Beasley, and I totally forgot. Like, after you said it, I knew that. I didn't know.
We gotta do this game on every single pod. This is great.
You're right, honey. I do not believe you. Going back to a title team, the 09-010 teams. Hani, where did Shannon Brown play?
Oh, I know this one too.
Wait, say that again. You cut out for me for a little bit.
Where did Shannon Brown play?
I can name you like 3 different NBA teams he played for.
It's not the point of the game, though. Midwest again.
Shoot. Oh. Illinois. I know that.
Right conference, wrong school. Gary.
Michigan State.
Gary has 4 points in the last one. From the three-peat, part of the three-peat Lakers.
Oh, God. I was barely born.
Hani, where did the very handsome Rick Fox go to school?
Oh, crap. Oh, he's a UNC guy.
You got 1 point. I told you I put a softball in there.
The UNC one. I'm so proud of you, Hani.
You just got to ask me the handsome parts. Those are the ones I remember.
Yes, this is absolutely going to be a weekly tradition on the podcast now because that was
so much fun. We should just continue this after the pod is over. I don't need to sleep.
I have to save some so that we have content for the podcast. Because
this is definitely going to be a recurring series on the weekly pod. I already can't wait for next week. Like, that was so much fun to watch Hani struggle with those.
So yeah, congrats, Gary, on a sweep, even though the entire deck was stacked against you.
It wasn't a sweep. It was 4-1.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
It was going to be a sweep if you didn't get that one right.
I'm sorry, the softball I lobbed in there at the very end because I felt bad for you because I knew how bad it was going to be.
You said Lane Stevenson was the easiest one, and he was one of the two that I literally had no idea. The other ones I knew, I just forgot a couple of them.
Hani, okay, I got one more for you. Where did LeBron James go to college?
Ooh, Notre Dame.
Okay, no, we're just messing around. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. I cannot wait to do that again next week. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this time on this week's weekly Lakers Outsiders podcast. We will be around again this weekend as the Lakers head out east, play 3 East Coast games with the Magic, Heat, and the Cavaliers. We will be there to recap the weekend's games on Sunday, possibly Saturday. We will see how that goes. But if not, we'll definitely recap both games on Sunday night like we did last weekend. So stay tuned for that. Jacob, Hani, this was more than fun, especially that last segment. So that's going to do it for us this time. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank you, those of you that sent us questions. And as I mentioned at the start of the podcast, subscribe to us. You can subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, and Podbean. And if you subscribe on iTunes, please leave us a review. And, like I said, that greatly helps us, and it is greatly appreciated. So that would be awesome if you could do that. So as always, you can find all of our work on LakersOutsiders.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and like us on Facebook. All that fun stuff on social media. And until this weekend, for Jacob Rude and Hani Amadi, and this is Gary Kester signing off.
Shout out Marshawn Brooks.